You're watching the Comms Syndicate live stream.
It's 11:59 on Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
All right, welcome to the live stream. So we've got Drew from the Terminal Element. I believe Jared's going to join us here in a little bit. We've also got Phil and Nick from the Matter of Facts podcast. Thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And Drew, I guess, are you running JS8 call tonight?
I am. I'm up on 7078, and you can send a message to @TCS, the Comms Syndicate, and we'll read it on the air.
Okay, I'll throw the banner down at the bottom then. And I'll keep an eye on the stage for Jared, but I guess a lot's happened since our last live stream, and we're going to start this episode a little bit differently than the previous ones. I have some things that I would like to open with, and then we'll hand it over to our panel to get their thoughts. Initially, I wasn't really sure how to start the conversation about Charlie Kirk's assassination. There's a lot of anger over what happened, but I think where our society goes next, emotions will have to be removed to see clearly. So I thought about it for a while, and I remembered a story that I once heard. And I know some of you may already have your minds made up about where we go from here, and you might even disagree with what I'm about to say. But in an attempt to honor the memory of someone who dedicated his life to encouraging peaceful debate, I think we should continue to carry that torch. So the story goes like this. There once was a farmer who worked hard to provide for his family and provide opportunity and an honest day's work for the men who worked his land. Everywhere he went and everything he did only sowed good seeds in his field. But the farmer had an enemy of the farmer's success and always looked for ways to sabotage him. One night, when the farmer and his men were sleeping, his enemy came to his field and spread darnel seeds across the farmer's wheat crops, and then snuck away into the cover of darkness. The problem with darnel seeds is they grow into tares, also known as weeds, and are almost indistinguishable from the wheat seedlings. And it's not until they mature that you can notice the difference between the weeds and the wheat. You see, the farmer's enemy knew that the darnel would be successful in sabotaging the crop because they were good at assimilating nutrients from the soil at the expense of the wheat. And by outcompeting for the soil's resources, the weeds can eventually smother the crop and destroy everything the farmer and his men worked so hard to accomplish. When the seedlings sprouted, the men noticed that weeds were growing alongside the healthy crop. And by this time, the roots of the darnel had become entangled with the roots of the wheat. The farmer and his men began to investigate and ask why their crop had tares growing alongside it. And after careful examination of their process, the farmer concluded that the seed they planted was good, and the tares growing alongside the good seed were the result of an enemy's sabotage. The men asked the farmer if they wanted them to go out and pull up the weeds, and he thought about it for a while and told them no. He knew that removing the tares wouldn't be an easy task, and that would cause significant and possibly disastrous damage to the wheat. And in the process of pulling the weeds, they would most likely pull some of the wheat's roots as well, making it nearly impossible to remove the tares before the harvest without destroying the crop. Instead, he instructed his men to let the tares grow alongside the wheat until the harvest. And at that time, the reapers would gather the tares and bind them into bundles to burn, and then gather the wheat and place it inside the barn. When the harvest came, both the wheat and the tares ripened to their potential. And only then were the reapers able to distinguish between the wheat, which was flourishing with golden heavy wheat heads, while the tares stood upright, producing black poisonous seeds. I know there's going to be some who say, well, that's a nice story, but it's not enough. We can't wait to be slaughtered by those who only want to kill us. That's true. But I think the reality is you're not waiting, because I think the American version of the Troubles is probably here. Everything just hasn't fully come into frame just yet. In the aftermath of this event, whether you have your minds made up or not, I think it's still important to have a discussion about what the road ahead may look like. There's a lot of people online who are advocating revenge for what happened, and that anger is totally understandable. There's also a lot of people who are saying cooler heads will prevail and don't react at all. I think it's true that violence only begets violence, but also, how does our society balance righteous anger against a lack of consequences for those who contributed to the injustice we all witness? Tyler Robinson and all the other Tyler Robinsons out there are the tares in the wheat field. We just can't see them until their indoctrination begins to sprout. And by then, they're already mixed in with the rest of the crop. I think it's important to find out who planted the seeds of destruction in this person's mind and figure out what their culpability is and what the consequences are for radicalizing someone to the point where every ounce of morality, ethics, and spirituality is wringed out of their souls and supplanted with inequity and callousness. This kid probably isn't going to be the last tear in the field. I think there are a lot of people who hate our country, and they've already planted many others like him who are waiting to ripen, hoping they'll reach their full potential of their indoctrination. And unfortunately, those seeds have been scattered across our schools, churches, workplaces, news outlets, social media, politics, entertainment, and every other possible sphere of influence for decades. However, the consequence of being reactionary is there may be those who appear to be tares who are actually wheat, and vice versa. If that happens, we risk destroying all that we've worked for. Conversely, we can't let this go unmitigated by allowing those who want to destroy our country to continually scatter more seeds of destruction across our society. And so I'll kick it over to our panel. With as divided as the country is, what do you think the road ahead in the next 6 weeks?
You cut out there in your final statement.
Yeah, you
wrote ahead
for just a little bit.
Yeah, the internet sucks tonight.
It's Skynet, man.
I restarted my router and it just keeps cutting out. What was the last thing that you heard?
You said the road ahead looks like something.
Maybe for the next 6 months.
So my question was, with as divided as the country is, what do you think the road ahead in the next 6 months to 1 year from now will be?
Okay.
Same. I don't think anything's going to change. What would change? Somebody got murdered. He's been arrested. There's going to be an investigation and a prosecution and consequences. I did hear that the FBI is going to be investigating every single person in this chat room that they were discussing these matters. And so that's good to hear. They're following up on potentially the people who have radicalized him. But I don't see this as any sort of transformative event, really. Sorry, this seems like just status quo for American history. I'm thinking back to Kennedy being shot, multiple Kennedys being shot. So I don't know as if this is something more extraordinary than just our history. Lincoln being shot. I mean, am I just being too callous, too biased by normalcy?
I mean, Drew, I guess kind of my thought to your question and to Terrence's his analogy. I don't know if I'm prepared to say that things will change, because I feel as though that there's broadly several different groups here. There's a group that has always seen threats out on the horizon, has always reacted to them preemptively, has always made a point of being hard to hurt, has always made a point of being prepared to deal with emergency situations. And those people are not going to be swayed by this, because they were already doing the things 2 weeks ago that I would espouse they do today. They were carrying firearms, they were training, they were packing medical equipment, they were watching their surroundings. They were doing all the things that everybody else really should be doing. And the problem is that the group of people out there that see this moment in time and react emotionally to it, I'm afraid that in 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, they're going to be right back in the mindset they were, head down in their phone, not paying attention, not changing their lifestyle, not reacting to potential dangers on the horizon, because their whole world is between, their eyeballs and their smartphone.
Beautifully put. Poetically put.
Now, to Terrence's point, though, I agree with what you're saying, but I issue a challenge to those people that listen to this stream. to me, I understand the farmer's actions. I understand his concerns. I get all that. But I can say that as an analogy, the next time I put wheat in the field, I'm going to make sure I got somebody standing guard over those fields so that the next time somebody tries to sow bad seed into my field, they meet an untimely end. And like we were talking about, like before we went live, like I feel like that really is the direction, because I don't think that a coast to coast cull of undesirables from our country is palatable. I don't think it's rational. I don't think it can be done. But I do think that making ourselves as individuals, as families, as communities harder to harm is a positive step in the right direction. I just question how many people are going to take that step.
Phil, I think you're right in that there is a certain subset of the population that, sure, the assassination woke them up for 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days, 5 weeks, whatever it ends up being. And great, we got some of their attention. And, we had a very similar discussion on our stream on Friday. And I said that I was feeling pretty optimistic about things with how many people I am seeing being quite vocal on social media about how terrible political violence is and how we need to avoid that, which was a great thing to see. But then I saw this afternoon, and I sent it to you guys in the chat. The DNC's booth was removed from the Ohio Fair because they were handing out two kinds of buttons. One that said 8647 and "Is he dead yet?" in reference to President Trump. This is one of the major political parties in our nation that is actively advocating for the death of the president.
The exact opposite of cooling down the rhetoric, right?
Right. The exact opposite. Looks like we might have lost Terrence here. Well, hopefully he comes back.
Maybe
He might have killed his video. He might have killed his
been.
video to save bandwidth.
Oh, that could help. Now, I was feeling pretty optimistic on Friday. I thought that, hey, you know what? If we can even if these people are only paying attention for the next 5 days or 5 weeks, maybe that sends enough of a message that, hey, the people that are advocating for political violence have no groundswell of support for them. That perhaps they'll put their head back down, shut up, and let everyone get on with peaceful lives. But now we have even more of the DNC coming out on their party platform at a fairgrounds where there are all walks of life there saying, nah, we need to kill the president. Because that's really what that means.
For sure. I'm sure somebody would come up with a some BS explanation for why that doesn't mean what we all know what it means. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everybody over the age of like 12 knows what 86 means, and 47 very plainly means 47th president. But
especially when they're putting it on the "Is he dead yet?" on a MAGA hat on a button. Come on, you cannot pretend that anyone here, that anyone with 2 brain cells that knows how to tie their shoes, can't figure that out.
You might have committed an error in prejudgment, though.
I don't know. It's just. Sure, maybe that wasn't what they meant, but
I mean, at this point, after there have been 2 attempts on his life, maybe more, they were able to tone down the rhetoric for about 5 minutes, and before they started calling him a fascist. And
they didn't even tone down the rhetoric for 5 minutes on the stream where he was shot. One of the anchors said, "Could this be a false flag to help Trump in the election?"
Oh, wonderful.
It was on the same stream. It wasn't even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think the consequence, if any, should be for someone who radicalizes another person to the point where they do commit violence?
There could be civil damages.
Question to answer because I don't know the answer, and I know that our society's kind of talked about this quite a bit.
It's an awful high bar. It's an awful high bar to prove that your speech. I mean, we have laws about this already. If you are directly advocating for violence, you are partially culpable.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I was thinking when Nick said it out loud. Like we already have laws on the books. We don't need anything special to charge a person and take the, just like disassemble their lives. If it can be proven that their speech compelled someone else to commit this crime. But
I mean, it's
I think
awful
Mrs.
hard
Kirk
to
has a-
prove.
moments like this, y'all
Mrs.
really make my inner conservative libertarian like really cringe hard, because like Jesus Christ, the minute we start talking seriously about chilling free speech because someone else might take it too far and kill somebody else, I mean that is a deeply uncomfortable position to be in. But that's why I go back to what Nick said. There's already laws on the books for this. There's already a process. There's already a legal bar to clear. We don't need anything special to do this. Now we just have to figure out who can, is there anybody out there that can clear that bar to say that they directly inspired or commanded this young man to commit this crime? And it cannot be, because again, legal statute, it cannot be an analogous like body of thought or internet ramblings. It has to be, you have to be able to hang it on somebody individually. And if you
It
can't,
needs to be a direct call to violence. Otherwise, really what you're doing there is you're making speech codes. And no offense to anybody that thinks that's a good idea, but you're an idiot. Speech codes always end in harm.
well,
Always.
but my bigger worry is it's I'm going to say what I always do. I'm going to say what I did when the DOJ started talking about, banning the Second Amendment from people that had transitioned. Like my greatest fear is always that the minute you start a conversation with, should we give the government the power to do X, I immediately recoil in terror.
Yep.
Because I firmly believe to my core, I would not give the government that I voted for power I wouldn't want my worst enemy to hold over me.
Why does this need to be granting additional power to a government? If Mrs. Kirk wants to take these guys to civil court and ruin them, God bless America.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
No,
that's-
absolutely. There is a much lower bar in civil court to prove these things, or at least give a preponderance of proof to it. I mean, it's no longer beyond reasonable doubt. It's now preponderance of evidence. And
Yeah.
hey, you know what? If she can take the DNC to court for what's going on, if she can take CNN, MSNBC, and she can take their money, fine. All the power to her. I hope she uses the money for good.
I will
Refresh my memory.
contribute to that legal fee.
How high was the judgment against Alex Jones for saying stupid shit after Sandy Hook?
It was 2 times the GDP of France.
It was like it was like $1 trillion, wasn't it? It was crazy.
It was several. Let me look it
It
up.
did
but I
get
believe it was
revised
several $1
downwards,
trillion.
but
This is a fine
understand-
process.
I
Fine
understand where you're
precedent.
going. And understand, I agree with you, Drew. There's already law in the books. There's already a legal process. If Charlie Kirk survivors want to take an entire political party into the courtroom and disassemble them financially for the rest of time, I am cool with that.
She's just recouping damages.
But the reason I said what I did was because just in case somebody out there is thinking we need new laws to do the same things old laws do, especially if they start talking about lowering that bar, I get really uncomfortable with that idea.
Sure.
But I get really uncomfortable anytime it's like when they start making hate speech laws. Who gets to determine what hate speech is?
Exactly.
I can think of some things I've said that would have got me drug into court if the wrong political party happened to be in power
Clearly,
at the time.
people have power.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. You bring up hate speech. I spent some time trying to look up the definition of hate speech and understand what that actually is. And the definition is so loose, and there's no universally accepted definition. That it's just kind of an absurd construct.
It's in the dictionary right next to assault weapons.
Probably in the Constitution next to the abortion stuff too.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
So I did find it. It looks like it was revised down to $1.4 billion from $2.75 trillion.
I think that's what I remember.
Wild.
Yeah. It's still an almost absurd amount.
Yeah, it
slightly
was
less
approximately the
absurd.
GDP of France at the time when the judgment was
This
handed
is
down.
more than America spends on the military every year. It's like $1 trillion military budget, right? That's just wild.
I think
to
so,
me.
yeah. Trillion or 1.3 trillion for the U.S. military. Yeah. But, I mean, you can ask for whatever you want, but still, 1.4 billion is still well beyond his ability to ever pay. even if you massively overvalue his company and seize that, which they did.
Sure.
Mhm. But yeah.
So, but hate speech. What the hell even is that? I think if I said I really don't like a certain sports team, their fans are kind of rude. That's hate speech under the definitions that I was able to find. Any sort of denigration of one social group. Like I don't like that. I don't like that sports team's fans. They're really rude. They always riot after games, and I don't prefer them. I just committed hate speech.
So 2 things, Drew. Hate speech is whatever the judge and jury of the particular courtroom it is being argued in declare it is. That's 1. And 2, and this is the definition I personally enjoy. Hate speech is the original intent behind the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Because I said this on our stream Friday, and I was angry about it. You don't need the right to free speech to guarantee the right to say popular things. You only need a constitutional right to demand that you can say unpopular, antagonistic, inflammatory things. It's like it's like the argument about the Second Amendment is there to make sure that the government can have guns. I'm like, every government in the world has plenty of guns, whether or not there's a constitutional amendment for it or not. I'm pretty sure the government can have guns without a constitutional amendment. It just might be that you need a constitutional amendment to guarantee that the people can do something the government doesn't like be armed, like have 1.4 guns for every human being in the country, that sort of thing. Like you don't need a First Amendment to protect free speech unless that free speech is in and of itself antagonistic. That's the point.
Sure. And
this is the only Charlie Kirk was provocative in the world. You can walk out into the public square and call every elected official you have a son of a gun and everything else under the sun, and you might have to hear from your employer. You might get charged with disturbing the peace. You're not going to get put in the gulag for it.
So what led me down that route was the allegation that Charlie Kirk was engaging in hate speech. And so I hear this term stochastic terrorism. And so like he was committing stochastic terrorism. So, which is essentially what we're discussing in not quite using the left's terms, but if people were creating this fertile field for this wacko to become radicalized and murder a person for disagreeable speech, that is essentially stochastic terrorism. But I was trying to just kind of trace down and research their claims, because I really didn't follow Charlie Kirk's work very much. I don't really prefer his style of going to public debates and owning people. It's just not something I was interested in. So I was kind of learning about what he did and what he said, and I can't find anything that I would consider particularly hateful or would qualify as inciting violence against people. He didn't denigrate people that I could really tell, and the examples they bring up are wildly weak. So, for example, the Wired magazine, I believe, said that he denigrated many minorities, and they had a little link for what he did that was denigrating minorities, and I clicked on it, and it was some post he put on X about how there are a lot of black children who are born to single mothers, and there are no fathers.
Statistical fact,
true.
Yeah.
And he didn't say like they're bad people or they're capable of less, or he made no racist comments. He didn't denigrate any minority, and the allegation was just kind of weak to begin with, because many minority. Well, he was only even referring to one minority, but these are things that Thomas Sowell says. These are topics that have been discussed by very intelligent people who are black. So Charlie Kirk saying these things wasn't particularly revolutionary or new or anything. So that's his hateful racist rhetoric. It's just so weak.
Well,
and so
I think that they're conflating two things that he has said at different points together with that comment. He has said before that children of single mothers see greater negative outcomes than children in two-parent households. That's a known statistical fact. Now, that says nothing about race. He then says this particular racial group has a higher instance of single mothers.
Which is also statistically true.
Also statistically true. Those children seem to have worse net outcomes.
That is an observation.
Statistical group. Right.
But he made
But
no
it's also
statement about potential.
No statement about potential, no statement about value of the people, no statement about the moral character of the people,
Or about them
that
being deserving of
A,
human rights.
exactly, simply that A seems to lead to B. So why don't we encourage more two-parent households in this community to help push the children up, to help bring up the children by lowering the risk factors for these problems?
And I just can't wrap my brain around how that could be construed as hateful in any
Because
way.
it's seen as criticizing the behavior of this group of people. Right. But people don't like when you criticize their behavior. They don't.
Cry harder.
My thoughts exactly.
I mean, I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard me say privately or otherwise. Like, I think when your behavior leads to obviously poor results, it is ripe to be criticized. And you cannot wave the flag of isms, calling things racism, misogynism, or whatever else to make the criticisms go away anymore. Because frankly, we've heard enough of that. Like, we conservatives, we open-minded people, we libertarians, we whatever, the right, have heard enough of that. And we're just not interested in hearing any more of it. You have to deal with us from a standpoint of facts and rationality, because we are not being cowed into a corner any longer by people screaming that we're mean because we're stating facts. Facts don't care about your feelings anymore.
Well, but you have the other standpoint, Phil, there is that feelings don't care about facts either. And unfortunately, you're
thank you for that.
People that come at the argument from an emotional basis, which is what they're coming from, because the single mom that's really trying, that I mean, is being a knockout job of a parent. No matter how much she tries, she cannot put out the same amount of parenting time that two people can. Mm-hmm. It's not a fair equation. You have twice as many people putting in the effort and the eyes on the children to try and prevent and head off these problems. Does it always work with two parents? No. But you have better odds because you have more eyes on the situation at the very minimum.
And that's how statistics work. Statistics cannot guarantee. See, and now bear in mind that like my time spent in college was spent largely studying statistics. Statistics never tells you anything with 100% certainty. Mm-hmm. There's what's called a degree of certainty or degree of certitude. In other words, like if I run this statistical model over and over and over and over, if I weigh up one side of this argument to the umpteenth degree, I can give you like a 99.9% degree of certainty, but I can never give you 100, because there's always going to be that one person, that one human being in the model that breaks the statistic.
Mentally ill, circumstance, luck.
Well, okay, single mother that somehow can work 3 jobs and take care of her kids and put, to create a Ben Carson who ends up becoming a freaking brain surgeon. Yes, that happens.
It does.
But the statistics says over and over and over that if you are a single mother, you have a greater likelihood of raising kids that don't finish high school and wind up being career criminals in and out of the prison system. No, I'm not saying that to be ugly or to denigrate single mothers or to say that they should have stayed with baby daddy or anything else. I'm not casting aspersions. All I'm saying is the statistics are there. They cannot be argued with, and they don't give a damn about you calling them racist because they are statistics. Statistics are dispassionate. The people that quote statistics might do so with malicious intent.
Sure.
But in this case, to simply call Charlie Kirk racist out of hand because you don't like the way the statistics rings out is just ignorant.
It's odd. It's an odd take from the trust the experts folks.
Well, it's really not, though, when you think about it, because Charlie Kirk is the left's enemy. He's a white male Christian family man who is advocating for his beliefs.
Not college educated either.
No, he's not. So he is not college educated, so he's not one of their experts. He is religious. He is white. He is a man. He is married. It's all the things that they are trying to destroy, because you cannot shift a country to socialism and communism without having an unhappy population. And the most happy people are in healthy, productive marriages.
Yep.
Do you think we have a Marxism problem in this country?
We've had a Marxism problem since the 1920s.
We've had a Marxism problem since McCarthyism went cold.
Mm-hmm. I think that the intellectuals, driven by Herbert Marcuse and others, have infiltrated our colleges, which educate our teachers, which has caused an infiltration of our school districts and our school boards. And that has caused the trickle-down effect that we see here.
And it's also infiltrated our politics because the overall majority of our politicians wind up coming from Ivy League colleges. The majority of them are lawyers.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know necessarily that there is any quick fix solution for this. Basically, what we have to do is we have to do what the left started doing in the 50s and 60s. We have to invade the institutions at the ground level and re-educate the children in the population. And I know that sounds terrible, but the only way you counter indoctrination is with better, more high-quality indoctrination.
You know,
Speaking of indoctrination, there was this article from a couple days ago, and it basically describes what you guys are talking about, that the Democratic Party has normalized assassination culture within part of its base by labeling political opponents fascists and Nazis, which has been going on for a long time. And in addition to that, there's a lot of NGOs and certain billionaires that funded disinformation campaigns to help push this narrative. And it's estimated, according to this article and a couple others that I read, that organizations that are pretty far left militant groups, such as the Socialist Rifle Association, they've got about 10,000 members across 33 states. And according to some of their verbiage, they're preparing for war against the fascists.
John Brown Gun Club.
That's all of you.
Redneck Rebellion.
Yeah. And
So
we were
just to be clear real quick, the fascists are the people who engage in open dialogue.
Correct.
And free
time out.
freedom exchange of information.
The fascist, if we want to be really technical, bear in mind that we're not dealing with anti-fascists. We're dealing with Marxists. Anyone who opposes the revolution, the conversion of the country to communism,
That's the enemy.
is fascist, is the enemy.
Yes.
Like let's be really clear about what they are, what we are to them, and what the goal here is. This is not about deposing one man from power so that we can save our democracy. That has nothing to do with what's going on here. This is 110% a standard issue Marxist playbook. This is an attempt at a color revolution. This is everything that happened in Russia to usher in Stalinism. This is everything that happened in China to usher in Maoism. This is everything that happened in every communist socialist country in the world. This is everything that happened in Venezuela, everything that happened in Cambodia. And I can keep going back through history if you really need me to, but trust me, this playbook is not new. None of this is new.
Zelensky's rules for radicals is
Yes.
the exact playbook they're following.
Destroy
Just
the
adding in extra violence.
destroy the family unit, create an atheist society, call together the useful idiots to incite violence, usher in political change, and then after the political change happen, then you kill all the useful idiots.
Yep.
Because
And anyone else that won't follow along.
Because the last thing a communist regime wants is this huge pocket of revolutionaries who just took the country over on their behalf. So they're all the first ones to go.
Yep.
So understand that if I am speaking to anybody out there that is even remotely a normie of any stripe, if you don't want this country to look like Stalinist Russia or Maoist China, if you're not happy with that idea, then there's not three sides to this fight. There's two. There's the revolution and there's opposing it. Because they won't allow there to be a third side.
Got a comment
on my soapbox every night.
Got a comment on 7078. And it came through despite all of Jared's FT8 buddies annihilating the 7078 frequency. But I got Whiskey Zero, Charlie Echo Sierra. He says, first time watching the stream. Glad I was able to catch it at 73.
Nice.
So if the left is truly this organized and, they've got, these militant groups within their ranks and they do act, here's a fun question. Do you think conservatives or whoever they deem the enemy is at this point, because it seems to be a hodgepodge of whoever disagrees with this ideology, will be able to effectively defend themselves? Because there's a lot of people...
From a political genocide?
Sure, why not?
I think it depends on how rapidly they escalate.
See, my answer is yes, unequivocal.
They could slow boil them.
Slow boiling might work, but I think what happened a week and a half ago, their hand slipped on the knob and we're not slow boiling anymore. And between we've okay, so go with me down this road, Nick. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. A wedding was shot up in New Hampshire. What, yesterday or today?
True.
There was something else that happened recently.
Free Palestine shooter shooting at the ICE agency.
I thought that was at the wedding.
Oh, that might have been. I might be getting them confused, but somebody shot up an ICE facility again.
Yeah. My point is that since Charlie Kirk was shot, there have been multiple instances of violence, ostensibly directed at the broad coalition that is the right, and very obviously perpetrated by the crazy left. And I think their hand slipped on the knob. I don't think they're trying to slow boil anymore. I think when you create the type of person who commits these types of acts and you wind them up this tight, I don't think there's any controlling them so that they'll have a slow burn. I think you turned up the wind-up toys too hard, and now they're just running around going berserk.
Yeah, and here's those couple of events on the 19th. Annabelle Hernandez Santana, he opened fire on an ABC news station. To my knowledge, no one was hurt or killed, thank God.
Yeah, very good.
And let's see, what's the next one that you mentioned? I think that's in here too.
Sorry, am I screwing up the order of your operations here?
No, it's actually perfect timing because my internet's kind of buffering. Anyway, so,
Free Palestine at the wedding.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me.
And then this one was yesterday. And Hunter Nadik opened fire on a wedding party in New Hampshire, shouting "Free Palestine." One person was killed, several others wounded. And a similar event happened at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. in May of this year. And Elias Rodriguez opened fire at a Jewish community event, killing 2 Israeli embassy staff members. And I don't think the political violence that we're seeing are outliers. Do you?
I don't. I think this is just tip of the iceberg. Whether it accelerates or it stays at this level of propensity, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that's the point we're at. I think the rhetoric has reached a point where we went from they're bad people because they have bad ideas to it's okay to punch Nazis to stochastic terrorism to words of violence, we must defend ourselves. Like, this has been a very determined progression to encourage violence.
Defend ourselves by burning down the Walgreens.
Yeah.
Continue.
Sense.
So like I feel like that's where we're at now. To your question earlier about like, can we defend ourselves? I think yes, we can, but I think it's going to require exactly what I said earlier, which is people need to start taking seriously the fact that they are being threatened, that there are threats out there and about every day, and that no one is coming to save you. The police are 15 minutes away. The ambulance is 25 minutes away. What you need is a handgun on your hip and a tourniquet in your backpack. And you need to take responsibility for you and your family's safety and security. And you need to become a harder person to kill. Yep. And like, I say that as an Army veteran who I genuinely thought 20 years ago, I had like turned my rifle in for the last time, unlaced my boots for the last time. I thought I was done. And then some years ago, I had my great aha moment and started realizing, okay, I need to take some responsibility for my family. And I have invested the time and the energy in training myself and staying current on my skills so that if someone threatens my family, I can protect them. But I am one man. Every single person in this country needs to understand that that moment of violence that is random could be the one where that happens right in front of you tomorrow. And if you're not prepared to deal with it, to take care of yourself and your family, you're going to get rolled.
Yep.
I am encouraged to see, I'm encouraged to see more churches developing safety teams, armed safety teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of the adaptation to this increased volatility that we're seeing.
And I agree. I'm encouraged by that, but it's still the churches that have that armed security team are still outliers compared to the majority of the population. And even then, it's a team of people, not a pastor telling an entire congregation, "Hey, knuckleheads, bring your gun to church in case somebody tries to hurt people." Like, that's why I keep saying, like, this is a church security team is a step in the right direction, but basically what it is a private security group for a limited amount of time. What we need is for the community at large to arm themselves and train themselves and be ready to protect themselves. We cannot have a situation where you attempt to defer your self-preservation to another person, because we've proven it doesn't work. Now, that said, all of that wouldn't have saved Charlie Kirk from what happened.
No.
But what it would do is it would ensure that the next time somebody tries to stab you in a subway, the next time somebody tries to stab you in the subway, or the next time somebody tries to beat you or hurt you to take your watch, the next time somebody breaks into your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, they have an equal opportunity to get hurt as you do. That is how we fix this problem.
Perhaps.
I tell you what, bud, if I gotta check out of this world, I much prefer it be on a 2-way range standing on top of a bunch of empty brass.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer that than having to hug my wife and daughter and tell them I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get to some comments. You've got some events like Corsair's saying, Muslims put a bomb under a TV van.
Ooh, I didn't hear about that.
I believe that was in Utah, yeah.
Gruffy McScrufferson. I don't know if this is the same event, but don't forget the
I believe they are the same
Fox
event.
News van in Utah. That may be the same one, but
it's exactly what Phil said. You're going to have to take your own protection into your own hands. Stay strapped or get clapped. That's going to be the rules of the game going forward. If you are not in a secure location, you should be armed. That's it. That's it anymore. I mean, yeah. Is it gonna save you from
being able to protect your family in all aspects and provide for them?
Mm-hmm. Me and Phil talked actually about this a while back, and it's not just protecting you in a physical sense; it's protecting you in a health sense as well, like having that food laid up. Because what's going to happen if people start blowing up food trucks going into the city? What's going to happen if they start hijacking random things? It's going to lead to more supply disruption.
Sure.
I mean,
shooting
to this day,
electrical transformers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they've done that.
Wouldn't take much.
To this day, I still tell the story about like the very first week of COVID, like literally the day it landed in New York, and my wife and I had a huddle, and we're like, "What are we gonna do?" And I was like, "We're gonna lock the front door, and we're not gonna go out. We're not gonna like interact with people for the next 2 weeks, and we're gonna watch what happens." Now, stop and unpack that for a moment. I was literally like emotionally going to use the state of New York City like a petri dish and just see what happens. Because I told my wife, I'm like, in 2 weeks, either the entire city will implode, that like there will not be enough living people to carry the dead bodies. The whole city will implode, or it won't. And then we have data and we know something we can depend on and we can make judgments based on. But I told people since then, I'm like, the only reason I even had that option was because I had 6 months of food laid up. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to go to the grocery store for 2 weeks. That was a cakewalk. That's a everyone in my house has the flu this weekend. I don't feel like going out. But if you don't have 6 months of groceries, you don't have that ability. Like you gotta go roll the dice with everybody else. So if somebody starts blowing up food trucks, I park an AR-15 by the front door and we just start playing by Baghdad rules again.
Mm-hmm.
Just briefly, 2A for All is asking if we're taking Discord or Rumble comments. I can only see the ones that I'm sharing too on StreamYard. So if Phil or any of you guys have comments that you see that pop up on your end where you're sharing, you can read those out.
So I can actually partially answer that question at least. I don't know about Discord, but I know 100% for Rumble, since Rumble doesn't have a direct API feed with StreamYard, we won't be able to see comments that are dropped over on Rumble. Neither Terrence nor I or anybody else is sharing.
Corsair does make a good point here. If you could toss that one up on screen, people need real training to include learning the laws for their area concerning self-defense. That is highly recommended.
Yes.
If you have not taken a self-defense class or a concealed carry license class for your jurisdiction, please get on that. Try to find a reputable one. Talk to some local people about reviews on it. If you can find a 2A friendly law office, sometimes you can get them fairly inexpensively to walk you through how self-defense laws are interpreted in your jurisdiction, because your prosecutor is not my prosecutor, is not the prosecutor downstate. So try and get the best, most local information you can.
Every lawyer I have ever had the courtesy of meeting, and I've met a few, if you pay them, if you make an appointment and pay for an hour of their time, they will tell you anything you want to know about local laws. So like if you want to throw questions, scenarios, whatever at them, they're going to give you the lawyer answer about like, I would not recommend you do that as your legal counsel, but literally they'll answer your questions. But I wanted to bring up, I saw Rabbit Ham comment, tried by 12, carried by 6. And I understand his sentiment. I don't disagree with it. But going back to what Corsair Trainer said, like you have to understand that in when I say modern times, call it the last 30 to 35 years, like every time a country has fallen on hard times, the government has disintegrated, order has broken down, there has been this period of time where there's still police and they're still arresting people, but there's also freaking violence every single day.
Yep.
So understand that there will be a period of time where you might have to smoke somebody to protect you and your family, but you probably still going to have to deal with the dudes in the polyester uniforms. So it does, even if you're like, you know, you've got your hockey mask and your combat boots on standby for Mad Max, you probably still need to know what your local laws are, because if you burn somebody down, you really want to be 100% on the side of right, because you don't want your family to have to take care of themselves in a weird situation or in a without rule of law situation, and you're jammed up in jail.
Kyle Rittenhouse is a good example of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect example. How many years did it take to settle that out for him?
I mean, the court of public opinion still thinks he should be buried under the jail, but
wow. Yeah, I'm talking about legally. Legally, how much time did he spend dealing with that and not living his life?
I believe he's still going through civil case.
Exactly, and that's been years.
Someone one day will have to explain to me, like, I have an IQ above room temperature, how on earth someone can shoot at you and you shoot back at them, but you're in the wrong.
Well, Corsair makes a good point. You do nothing for your family if you're sitting in prison.
Yeah. You don't do anything for them if you're dead either, but being
True.
in prison is like the next worst thing.
Well, I think that, I don't know, the violence that we're seeing, it's been building up for several years, and it depends on how far you really want to go back. I mean, there was the congressional baseball game shooting in 2017 with Steve Scalise.
My congressman.
2022, Nicholas Rose traveled to Brett Kavanaugh's house with the intent to kill him and commit suicide. The 2 Donald Trump assassination attempts that you mentioned in July and then September of last year. And
Black Lives Matter riots. You can't tell me they're disconnected.
There's an argument to be made there.
And I think that, there's a lot of people who've made a lot of comparisons to like Bleeding Kansas, what we're seeing right now, the troubles. Phil, when we jumped on earlier before the live started, you made several comparisons as well. But, I certainly think the troubles in Ireland, are something that I think are.
You buffered again, but I'm assuming
you having microphone troubles.
No, it's my internet's going in and out. I actually have it connected to my phone at this point because
damn Skynet.
It's Spectrum. They go out occasionally.
They do.
Yeah,
I've got Spectrum too, man. I know that problem.
Drives
it just turns
me
off.
insane. Yeah, I'm like, this is a great time for this, but I think that.
Oh, I did it to you again.
I thought it was just a pregnant pause for effect.
No, Drew, I've got an announcement to make.
Go ahead.
I'm pregnant.
Ah,
Right.
That's awkward.
It
Does
is
your wife
weird,
know?
isn't it? She doesn't know yet.
Okay.
Good.
Well,
good.
she knows now.
Tell the internet
I'm sure-
first.
I'm sure she has a lot of questions.
But I mean, the Troubles in Ireland that lasted from like 1968 all the way to 1998.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I mean, honestly, I bring up the Troubles because, like, I'm not as well versed in as a friend of me and Nick's is, but like, I feel like it's probably a pretty good analogy to what I think we might be staring down the barrel of, where we're not dealing with like. I don't think we're yet dealing with like a hyper organized, ordered, like perpetration of violence upon a distinct group of people. I think what we're dealing with is a loose collection of people who are all going to commit violence on targets of opportunity as the mood strikes them, whenever their SSRIs finally run out and their little brains flip on. I mean, who knows?
Well, but the Troubles was highly organized.
That's what
I
I'm saying,
mean,
though. I don't think this will be like that was.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think what you're probably looking at more of is Afghanistan or Middle Eastern tribal violence is probably more what you're looking at is tit for tat. You got just mad enough at your neighbor, so you popped him off, or you got just mad enough at this politician, or the politician didn't take your bribe, so you knock him off.
But in order for that to be a true analogy, you would have to see the right also committing unprovoked acts of violence against the left. And even though they will insist that is happening, I disagree.
Well, remember,
Timothy
the Troubles
McVeigh
lasted for 30 years, from 1968 to 1998. So it took time to establish that organizational structure for those different players.
Well,
Drew was saying Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing.
yeah, and that was decades ago. But that's the only one I can really think of that would be like a revenge type of right wing politically motivated violence.
That was retribution.
But I don't.
yeah.
But I don't know if I can categorize that as left against right.
There has been some white supremacist attacks against black individuals in the South. That has happened.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
is that conservative versus liberal, or is that just racist?
That's just skinheads
assholes?
being skinheads. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can call them conservative because I don't know.
Well, the Klan was
I think
historically
the race
Democrat.
matters more than the politics at that point.
But sidebar, I heard the best freaking explanation for why skinheads and neo-Nazis can never be considered to be conservatives.
Okay.
Y'all will enjoy this, by the way. The five of us here, would all of you say, as a general rule, that you would be in favor of literally everyone who is a law-abiding, peace-loving person having a firearm? Like black, white, purple, male, woman, Z, Zim, Zer, it doesn't matter. As a general rule, if people don't do violent, stupid stuff, they should have a gun if they want to have a gun.
If they
Agree
want
or
to,
disagree?
I volunteer to teach people of all stripes from a number of organizations, including Operation Blazing Sword, which specifically teaches LGBT, whatever you want to call yourself, people, firearms.
And now the follow-up to that, would you or would you not say that tends to be a hallmark of conservative thinking is a very deep appreciation and enshrinement of the right to keep and bear arms for the purpose of self-defense?
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever in your entire lives ever heard a neo-Nazi skinhead say black people should have more guns?
Oh, God, no.
Okay. End discussion.
No.
Neo-Nazi skinheads cannot be conservative. A foundational...
They're also very pro-abortion for certain groups.
But that's my point. A foundational tenet of conservatism is some degree of being pro firearms. And you will never in your entire life hear a neo-Nazi or a skinhead espouse that black people should be armed. And that is the way I always, anytime somebody tries to say that skinheads, neo-Nazis are on the right, I'm like, whoa.
I think the argument that somebody would make who disagrees with you would say that they're far right. They're farther right than this general conservative populace that you're referring to. And the Anti-Defamation League says that. So that's how they get away with saying things like in the year 2022, 100% of radical, politically motivated violent acts were committed by right-wing extremists. They're putting white supremacists, like skinheads that are trying to sell meth and stabbing people over selling meth. They're putting that on the conservative right wing, which I think is really bizarre.
They're also
But
putting
that's how they're getting away with it.
on the right wing.
I don't think they are. I think they have a separate.
No, they are. They
have a separate category for Islamic terror.
They do when it's convenient. They have a separate.
I'm not going to disagree that they're very dishonest people.
Yeah.
And I'm not under any illusion that there isn't any right-wing extremist violence, but
of course there is. There are insane people of every political stripe. That is unarguable.
But the question I have is that have you ever seen the broad right blessing and signing off on and encouraging violence against the left? Because to my recollection, whenever you get like a Timothy McVeigh to Drew's example, even though I think that was nut job against the government, not right versus left.
That was a possible MK Ultra victim. Going back after the government.
Different show, different topic. But my point is that, oh, jeez, you totally threw me off my train of thought. It just derailed and ran off into the woods.
It's just,
I just find it funny how point.
Everybody that the government drugs up on random hallucinogens and SSRIs decides to kill people.
Randomly.
Well, to Corsair's point, the left is organizing and are organized.
They are. 100%.
Sure, and so that opens them up to actions against like RICO statutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So racketeering and
but it's just an idea, Drew.
No.
Yeah, that's funny because
Jerry Nadler would agree with you. It's just a myth. They're just people who are anti-fascism. Actually, I think Antifa should just be called FA. I think they've revealed themselves for what they are. And in fact, do you know what you get when an Antifa mates with a No Kings person?
Oh God.
You get a fucking terrorist. That's my little joke.
Well done, sir.
That's funny. Although the anti-Kings protest, I have to say, it worked phenomenally. We don't have a king.
No more kings.
That is
there isn't a king in the U.S.
Maybe we should have taken a couple of them and sent them back to like the late 18th century. They could have fixed the whole. Could have fixed the whole British Crown thing without firing a shot. Just wave a bunch of signs around.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have the second one then.
Just get your scooter, your motorized scooter out there, and with your little flag, the No King, and they fix that whole.
I have to say the No Kings protest, at least around me, was a very geriatric protest. So perhaps, like Stuart, they remember the time there was the king.
There were some young people at one here, but it was mostly older people.
I don't know, guys. Like, my whole frustration is that whenever I see someone that is like ostensibly on the right and they do dumb stuff, I am perfectly happy to say that was dumb. They shouldn't have done that. They should definitely go to jail and think about themselves for a while. But what I see from the other direction is he said mean things, so he deserved it. He was pro Second Amendment, so he deserved it. His wife should get killed, and his kids should get re-educated. I mean, like,
and then they put his face on a T-shirt and sell it.
Yeah.
Well, they put Che Guevara's face on a lot of T-shirts and sell those, even though the guy was a communist and hated all the gays.
Yes.
He executed a lot of gay people for being gay. Good job, left. You're glorifying killing the gays again.
During the Troubles, about 3,600 people were killed and 30,000 were wounded before they had the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. Okay. And, Peace for Ireland came at a pretty great cost. Do you think that we're going to have to pay a similar price before we're able to find peace?
I'm not going to answer your question. I don't know if there's an opportunity for peace. Because I said this earlier, and I can't remember if I said it to y'all or one of the other groups of misfits that I talk to on an hourly basis. But like, in order for there to be peace, both sides have to want peace. Like, you can disagree over terms, you can disagree over what peace is, you can disagree over that, but both sides have to fundamentally want peace. And I'm not convinced both sides want peace here. I think one side absolutely doesn't want peace. They want revolution. I think another side, thankfully a small side, is screaming for revenge and blood, to your point earlier. And I think the big chunk in the middle doesn't, like, I think they probably want peace, but I don't think they're willing to bleed for peace.
Yeah, I'm with Phil. I don't know that peace is possible at this point. In the long term, probably it is inevitable because If the revolution takes over and kills everyone that disagrees with them, that's a kind of peace at the end, I guess. But I
won't be
don't-
allowed to see that.
I don't think that at this point a de-escalation is possible, given, and I'm disagreeing with myself from as recently as Friday. I don't know that it's possible for us to de-escalate. I think that the body count will be what the body count ends up being, and I don't know that we can predict it. I mean, we're a much larger country than Ireland, so I would anticipate that the body count is going to be consummately higher before this is done.
Much smaller population density there. No.
Yeah,
Yuri Bezmenov-
a smaller
Populations aren't
average
comparable, but-
population density.
Yuri Bezmenov already gave us the pathway to resolving this. He said these people are already wrecked. They're tears, right? In your analogy, the pathway out of this is we have to start today dedicating our educational institutions to teaching patriotic views. And then after all of the wrecked generations are dead and gone, the new patriotic Americans will have resolved this issue.
So
you
you're
said it'd take
talking
about, like, 30 years.
80 to 120 years.
Yeah, maybe like 50 to 75 years, something like that.
Yeah. It's very possible. I mean, it's probably a generational issue.
That was his opinion, and I can't really shoot any holes in it. It seems very reasonable.
I mean, the people are around. That's the trouble is these people do exist, and there are only two ways to get rid of them, and only one of them is palatable.
Well,
Palatable to the majority of people.
Palatable to me, at least.
Yes.
I'm not willing to advocate for mass killings of people based on ideology. I think that's a terrible idea, and that it only ever causes more bloodshed. So the only thing we can do is wait for them to pass of old age
and teach younger generations a better
Right.
way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're
Teach a
saying
better
let
way and
the
wait.
weeds grow next to the crops?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But to my point, if we're gonna let the weeds grow up next to the crops, we ain't gonna let the asshole come back in next harvest and seed more seeds into our friggin' fields.
Agreed.
Like that's what I'm saying. The seeds are already there, they're already growing up. We all agree that it is unfeasible and emotionally unpalatable to cull the weeds from the field. We all I think most people agree with that.
Yeah.
Because like, and for anybody that doesn't, what if it's like your brother or your cousin or your mom or your dad, like somebody you actually give a damn about, who ends up being one of the weeds? Do you want to sign off on the idea that that person gets whacked? Do you want to sign off on the idea that like every 2 or 3 of your 5 or 6 neighbors gets culled because they're engaged in wrongthink? And then do you trust our government to have that power? Which I don't ever, for any reason.
No, I don't either.
Giving the government more power than they already have scares the hell out of me. I wish I could go back in time and Patriot Act that whole mess out of existence. But
I mean, Tyler
But we-
Robinson subscribed to that ideology.
which one?
Kirk Shooter.
Kill
Yeah,
people you don't like.
Yep. That was his well, the proof was in his actions.
Sure.
Doesn't matter what he comes out and says now.
But notice this. He killed Charlie Kirk, right?
Mm-hmm.
By multiple admissions, both of his parents were conservative.
They were.
He didn't kill either one of them.
Nope.
Would he have been upset if a buddy of his or his little furry, couldn't figure out what gender they were, roommate killed his parents because they're on the wrong, they're Charlie Kirk people, they're on the wrong side. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I continue to say that, like, when you are dealing from a standpoint of morality and rationality, at some point I'm going to find somebody you care enough about that you say, whoa, I can't agree to that. Or that bar, they haven't cleared that bar, they're not high enough. Like, yeah, they're a little out there on the left, but they're not like violent left, so we shouldn't do that. I can make this scenario something that you're going to say that's off the table. It can be done. And if it can't, then you're a bit of a sociopath. But we can't let the field get sowed with more weeds. We have to stop this. We have to prevent the next generation from getting turned into whatever this is.
And honestly, that probably means that every single one of you out there needs to start attending your school board meetings and your school board elections.
You
Screw
need to
that.
be very.
I don't care about any of that. My kids are homeschooled. We
And
have
you know what?
divorced
But
ourselves from
that's a
that
solution
entire
too.
bullshit institution.
Then you are your school board. Even better.
Yeah.
You are your own school board at that point.
I mean,
You
look,
need to, we all need to take responsibility for our children's education much more than our parents were able to. Or were required to.
I spend a not inconsequential amount of money to send my daughter to like one of the best private schools in the in the state, and definitely in
Nice.
the area, and I get to hold that tuition over their damn heads every time they do something I don't like.
Yep.
Cool.
And they have to deal with me. If I show up on the principal's doorstep and say, thou shalt make time for me because I'm angry, he doesn't have a choice, because I'll continue to be a pain in his ass until he is. Like, that's, to Nick's point, what this takes. It takes people showing up in school board meetings, people showing up in principals' offices, people showing up and being pissed off at the stuff that's being taught to their kids, and name names and publicly shame and bring it out on social media and contact the news stations. But stop being so damn worried about being likable and being nice, and start being right. If people are teaching your kids stupid stuff, to hell with whether somebody likes you or not, and to hell with whether or not your opinion is liked by the community. Start defending your freaking kids. And if it means that you have to be the Karen, the Kyle that everybody makes jokes of, the person that everybody says, oh, well, it's just a book, what do you care? It's my freaking kid. I get a say.
Where
And that's
that
the only-
breaks down is when the FBI starts targeting moms speaking at school board meetings as domestic terrorists.
How
Which
many
they have.
FBI agents exist?
Like 80,000.
A lot
Or
less
more.
than there
Okay.
are pissed off moms and dads.
You only need a few to create a chilling effect, though.
True, you do. But if you have 100,
We're not talking about war of attrition here.
bitching, yeah, you know, realistically though, there's not enough FBI agents in the country to attend every school board meeting or to investigate every school board meeting. It would never be finished. So you know what? Flood them.
Yes.
Win by
And,
attrition.
And I'll tell you something, the thing that pisses off government the most when they try to chill free speech is to grin at them and say, I choose or else, what have you got?
Yep.
Because I've been in that boat. During COVID, my wife and I were at a school board meeting screaming bloody murder about why are we shutting down schools and why are we sending these kids home and why are we doing all these things? And we were willing to hear them out, but we wanted answers and we wanted to be heard. And when the schools
answers politely,
and
but
when the
demand
schools
them.
locked the front doors and posted deputies outside and wouldn't let anybody in, and then when it went on the news as, oh well, a couple of parents created a disturbance, there was over 150 of us outside. I didn't get quieter. I went on a podcast and flat out said, yep, it was me. This is my home address. You don't like it? Send a cop to my front door and come take a statement. You can't silence people who are angry and outraged. And if conservatives start treating this like that, like this isn't just a book or just a topic in your kid's school. This is war. This is ideological war for your child's mind. And I'm prepared to fight to the death. I am easily prepared to go into a school board meeting and raise 6 kinds of holy hell. I don't care. Call me whatever you want. You can't shame me anymore. I'm done. But until you get the rest of the broad right thinking and talking the way I am, we're not even fighting this war yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fighting it because people are still worried about what if the neighbors don't invite me over to their house because I said things I wasn't supposed to say. By the way, it's the same reason why your favorite politician on the right, your favorite Republican, doesn't friggin' really believe anything he says out loud, because he still goes to the same parties and the same dinners as everybody else on the other side. They just got through calling a bastard in front of the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
I chased off Jared.
Probably had
No.
to use the head.
Probably. But you know, Phil's right. You guys have probably seen the show Rick and Morty. Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. And what makes them cheer is children doing strip teases for adults.
What
I'm
makes them
sorry.
cheer? What makes them cheer at this point is a wife and 2 kids that don't get to have their husband and father.
Mm-hmm.
Do
If you
think
cheer
that-
at that, I could give a damn for the rest of my life what makes you boo.
Do you think that this has woken up conservatives?
Some of them. Some of them.
Do you think,
So-
or do you think that this will just wane over time?
unfortunately.
I think it'll.
And I
think
did
it'll
I did.
wane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to agree with Jared on this, not because it's Jared, but because I don't want to agree with that sentiment. But like, I did promise y'all pessimism.
Yes,
I think this is going to wane. I think the majority of people are going to go back to their favorite NFL team and their favorite, they're going to go back to the kids at softball practice and their normal daily lives. And they're going to forget all about this in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, a
I think
year.
it's already happening now.
Yeah, probably. Now,
Although Turning Point USA has gotten a massive boost in colleges, both community, four-year universities, state and private institutions, setting up new clubs.
we'll see how much longevity that has.
I'm just saying, 24,000, 25,000 seeds were planted.
True.
If half of them grow, that's 12,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of students that they could be potentially impacting every year.
That's one of the reasons they hated him.
Exactly.
He was effective.
Yeah.
And he was reaching all the young people.
You don't assassinate ineffective people. You just ignore them and wait for them to go away.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, what frustrates me, guys, is that I feel like the level of violence it's going to take to wake up the normies in this bunch is a level of violence I don't want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Like,
it's going to be widespread violence. It's not going to be. It can't be a localized violence.
Yep.
No, it's got to be something that touches. It's got to be something that touches millions.
Mm-hmm.
And
it has to be worse than the Black Lives Matter riots. It has to be worse than the bombings in the 60s.
It's honestly, it's going to have to be something on the scale of like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor being bombed. It's going to have to be the entire country views themselves as under attack by this fringe minority within their midst. That is the only way that the normies, your average everyday mom and pop, is going to finally wrap their heads around the fact of what we're really dealing with and be prepared to fight against it. And I can envision that, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm in
okay,
this
we
weird
can
place of-
envision it right now. The election of Donald Trump, the re-election of him, by an actual majority of voters. Is that not a measure of what you're describing?
No.
A majority of people feeling like they are under attack and they need to do something. In this case, they voted. Very good.
Yeah, that is a positive that people were willing to get out to vote. But I think that if you got to look at it not so much only that a majority of people went out and voted for him, but also less people voted in that election, I think, than the prior one, correct? I mean, I could be misremembering, but I believe voter turnout actually went down.
Voter turnout for the Democrats crashed.
It did. It cratered pretty hard. Now, that's not to say some of them didn't switch sides and did not vote for Trump, because I know several personally that did switch from voting for Biden to voting for Trump, largely because of the dementia thing. But I don't know if that's indicative of a trend or if that was a single point phenomenon from just how bad Biden's presidency was.
I mean, I individually, personally know a person who has never voted Republican in their life that voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Specifically because Kamala Harris was so much of a potential disaster and the Biden administration had been such a disaster. He said, I only have one choice here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'll ever vote Republican again. I would love to eat my words if he does. I mean, I'm sure he and I will stay in contact over the years because we've been, kind of loose friends for a lot of years, but like, I don't know. I don't think that's a sea change. I think the tide just let out a little bit. But the truth of the matter is that when I talk about what it's going to take for this country to wake up, I mean like something that kills 1 million people. Yeah. I mean like a dirty nuclear bomb going off that decimates a metro area. I mean something that the entire
viral
country,
or chemical weapon attack.
Yes, it's going to
have to be a large act of terrorism with a massive body count. Is really what it's going to have to probably be to wake the majority of people up.
So you think something bigger than 9/11?
Potentially.
Not necessarily. I mean,
something on that scale might do it, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be a Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, or I don't even think it'd be a Donald Trump got assassinated. I mean, if Donald Trump got his head shot off, like a year ago, as much as I think that there would have been a serious reaction from the right, I think it would have been a political reaction. He'd have probably won in a landslide.
Vance would have won in a landslide on the sympathy vote. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it would have been an immediate call to arms. I think if you start talking about like 2, 3, 400,000, 500,000, 1 million people getting murked all at the same time, I think that would provoke a serious reaction. That would probably be what it takes for the average American to wake up and be like, holy shit, we are really under attack, guys. But I think
it's going to take an Antifa or BLM movement to partner with a foreign entity.
Yeah, I could see that happen.
Great point.
You know,
How do we know that hasn't happened?
Right.
Well,
I don't even know if it's necessary, to be perfectly honest. I mean, like, you can Google how the Oklahoma City bomber built that munition. There's the problem, guys, is that we live in 2025 and there's so much information on how to do so many hood rat things on the internet. If you really wanted to assemble an IED or a chemical weapon, it's out there. The information's available.
You know
it's
what?
not.
I think drug cartels qualify as a foreign entity, don't you?
They do, yeah. What about a drone swarm?
I mean, I'm sure there's enough angry lefty.
Yeah, but okay. What if you say Texas A&M has a big game? Conservative college, you would say probably 150, 200 drones with explosives flown into the stadium.
Think something lower tech. V1 buzz bombs. Those things.
Yeah, you could do something like that, a series of rocket attacks or something
those
like
weren't,
that.
Those were barely targeted. They were kind of addressed to whom they may concern, but let's say you shot a whole crap load of those into like the city of Austin or into the DC metro area where the population density is so high, you are 110% guaranteed to inflict civilian casualties. And you don't have to target them at any one specific person.
Or you get something like the George Floyd autonomous zones where instead of kicking people out, they just start executing people.
Or you get something like, what was it, a chemical weapon that was cooked off in a subway? It was probably about...
in the Japanese subway by
That's what it was.
The guy with the huge beard.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Shoot.
Damn, Terrence.
It was like 2005, I think.
Make me feel old.
Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, I was 15 at the time.
Early mid-2000s. Yeah.
In 2005, I was already a combat veteran once over. Thanks, guys.
I'm sorry, I was born too late.
Attack on Japan.
Wasn't there one in the 90s as well?
It was
sarin gas, I think.
Sarin, thank you.
Yeah.
Or what if we just
poorly made sarin gas or something, so it didn't work very well?
Well, I mean, there was the instance where some nutcase was friggin' mailing anthrax around all over the country.
Oh, yeah, there was that too.
Ted Kaczynski mailing bombs through the USPS all over the place.
But even that didn't wake up a lot of people.
There was the incident in Spain where they blew up a train or something in 2004 in Spain.
Yeah.
DC sniper attacks.
Oh yeah, the DC sniper attacks. Yeah, that one inspired quite an outrage for a while there.
You know, about the same time, I can't remember if it was before or after the DC sniper attacks. There was a similar instance going on over in Ohio, along interstate. I can't remember the interstate number, 70 and 77, I think, or something like that. 75. Right around the same time, before or after, though. I can't remember.
Interesting. I don't remember hearing about that one, but
in any case, like I feel like the majority of these things we're talked about, though, they've been a single instance, they've been localized, the body count has been that high. I think what it's going to take for the average mom and pa to wake up is something cataclysmic.
And I don't know that a sports stadium is going to be cataclysmic enough.
It depends on how televised it is.
I almost feel dirty saying this, but I don't think it's enough.
I don't think it is either.
It might not be.
Like, bear in mind the hell of being
it's a big event, but it's still a localized event.
Yeah,
sure.
9/11 was
a localized event.
It was localized, but it was still widespread across.
Well, it was localized. It was televised, and it was a national symbol.
Right.
It's also the fact that 9/11, like we think of 9/11 as being primarily New York City, but there was also the attack against the Pentagon. There was the plane that was heading to the White House. Like the primary damage point was New York, but that was intended to be a very diversified countrywide attack. I know that. Okay, so in the name of full disclosure, like at the time 9/11 happened, I was enlisted, I was in training, and I know that from the inside of the DoD's apparatus, we had full expectations that there were more base attacks coming.
Okay.
I didn't question where the intel came from. Wasn't really my place. I was a PFC. They didn't really give a shit what I thought. But I can tell you that this was not like paranoia or theory. Like we had credible reason to think that any base in the US was potentially under attack and was fair game. And even after I left training and went back to my home unit, we had manned armed guards at the front gate for years after that until I got out.
I was already out of the military by that time, but when I lived in the Pittsburgh area, I lived real close to a nuclear power plant, and they had the National Guard there for probably a year after 9/11, if not longer.
Interesting.
Wild times.
Got a radio comment here. This is from a teacher, KG7YUN. And she says schools are a lost cause. Pull kids from them and take away their funding.
I believe it.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Amen.
Strip education out of the hands of the government. I'm in.
I mean, my daughter goes to private school. My wife works at a private school. And anybody out there that says, oh, all these public school teachers are going to lose their jobs, let me tell you something. You could start a micro school with you and two of your buddies that are teachers and make plenty damn more money, like as a small homeschool group, than you ever did at teaching for, big government. And if you don't believe me, like
the good
call me,
teachers
I'll
will
talk
get
you
a
through
job.
it. 110%.
The good teachers will get a job. The bad teachers will be shit out of luck.
And here's the best part of it. Private school tuition will drop like a rock because the market hates a vacuum. The kids need educating. Someone's going to have to do it. It's going to be private.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job here covering this. I know we're a little over an hour, almost an hour and a half. So if you guys want to keep going, we can do that, or we can wrap this up. I'll leave it up to you guys.
That's up to you, man. It's your show. I'm just along for the ride.
Well, the longer ones that we've done, people have kind of had some grumblings about going to 2 to 3 hours. So
that's all right.
And we're a chatty group. So,
well, are there any more internet comments? Any more topics brought up by our viewers here?
Let's see.
Well, let's see.
Hear
Yard says
thoughts
there
about-
was a potential fifth plane. There was a documentary about that. That was pretty interesting. I don't know nothing really came of it, but
Did they get cold feet or what?
I think that they got scared off about being caught or something. So.
Scared of being caught trying to commit suicide by plane. Yeah.
When you put it that way, it sounds a little absurd.
I mean, come on. Maybe they just could not get access, but I don't know. If I'm to the point where I'm going to commit suicide by insert device here, I don't think getting caught's really on my radar of things to care about. But I've never been suicidal, so.
Nick, you're going to force me to quote my wife.
Go for it.
She has told me on multiple occasions that my greatest weakness is that because I'm rational, I expect everyone else to be.
That is fair. Okay, that is fair.
That is actually irrational then, in that case.
I know. She's a smart lady.
That is an irrational view to hold. Ow. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Yard Sale's got another good comment there. Or the Democrats couldn't stuff the ballot boxes like 2020. Look, man, I don't know that anybody will ever be able to prove that there was ballot box stuffing. There was some shenanigans with some of the mail-in votes. There was some shenanigans with the drop boxes.
So the problem is that I've seen enough evidence to conclude that there definitely should have been a good faith investigation, which I don't think there was.
No, there was not.
I don't think you can make the claim there was enough ballot box stuffing to turn the election.
No, but the evolution of that argument was fascinating because it went from there's no evidence of any sort of election tampering to all of a sudden
there's not enough evidence.
There's no evidence that it was widespread enough to cause any issues. So there was a little bit, but not bad.
Although, here, this has kind of been my point of view when we get to this conversation about ballot box stuffings. Twofold. First of all is this whole argument has been had in the guise of, voting for the president of the United States. There are thousands of local elections that take place all over this freaking country, and most of those can be swayed by as little as 20 freaking votes. So in those cases, yes, 110%. I want every single person stuffing a ballot box in prison for life, because all it takes at that point is 20 votes to turn a friggin' school district or turn a local official from red to blue or blue to red, and that needs to be dealt with.
I think for my county board, it was 3 votes this year.
But that's my point. You can't wave a magic wand and say, well, it wouldn't have influenced the presidential vote, because that's not the point. The point is a principle of, if we allow people to monkey around with the vote, it invalidates the whole principle of voting for your elected officials, because it erodes trust in those elections. So the only common sense approach here is that if there's an allegation of stuffing ballot boxes, you have to investigate it. You have to deal with it. You have to chase down whoever did it and throw their asses in prison. You have to, not because it would or would not have changed the outcome of an election, but to ensure that there is faith in the voting itself. Because if you get enough of the population in the mind frame of voting doesn't matter anymore, there's only one way left to resolve your political grievances. It's ballot box or powder box, guys, or cartridge box.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're gonna insist on people doing this the peaceful way and using the voting box, the ballot box, you have to guarantee that the voting box is sound. You can't allow a little bit of corruption.
Yeah, the vote needs to not just be trusted; it needs to be sacred.
Yes,
it needs to be beyond questioning in how secure it is.
Well, we've always been the gold standard until we started questioning that election.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, dude, questioning the results of an election has been going on in my own personal recollection, going back to
Clinton, at least.
Was it questioned during Clinton? I thought it was.
Bush.
I thought it really picked up steam.
Bush Gore was the
Bush
big
Gore.
one that had the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, the hanging Chad incident.
Yeah, the hanging Chad incident. Although I know in Illinois specifically there were questions about the Clinton election.
Yeah,
but
Bush
that's
Gore
Illinois politics.
Well, there's always been questions about certain elections in states for as far back as Kennedy,
as anybody
Nixon,
can remember,
and
right?
Yeah,
that's been going on a long time.
That's kind of my point. Whenever somebody brings up like Donald Trump questioning the election results, it's like that's been good. That's been happening in my own personal memory for a lot longer than just that.
It was feigned outrage.
It was
just like the oh my gosh, you don't trust the experts. All that shit was just all fake outrage, hand wringing bullshit, and I have no patience for it anymore.
I'm going to tell you that going to Reddit the day after Trump won the election officially, that was entertaining.
The tears, the cope.
Above and beyond the tears and the cope, the number of people that I am convinced 100%, and you wouldn't convince me otherwise, were screaming bloody murder about Trump questioning the election results or questioning the election results.
Right. So when somebody comes at me with that energy about that hand-wringing energy about trusting the peaceful transition of power and trusting the expert stuff, I can't return that energy anymore. It's just it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I don't believe it.
You're being disingenuous at best at that point.
Right.
I'm sorry. I react to pearl clutching with moderate scorn at this point. It's just the way I am.
That's exactly what it is. My pearls.
I'm serious, dude. This whole country is just built on friggin' pearl clutching for what team you're on, and it's ridiculous.
Yep. I mean, hell, Phil and me, pretty big Trump supporters, generally. But when he fucks up, the first thing we do is call him out on that shit immediately on air.
Actually, I think I might have popped a blood vessel in my brain the last time that him and his administration started talking about more new gun control efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Nick had private chat me like, dude, take a deep breath.
I'm pretty sure I did. Like, you need to have a drink and hold on a second. You're about to pop a blood vessel.
Oh, I went completely off the reservation. But the truth of the matter is that I think the safest position for every human being to be in is that you vote for whoever you believe is going to do the best job at managing whatever it is they're being elected to manage. But then 15 milliseconds after you cast that vote, go right back to not trusting that bastard because now they're a politician. And that is the only way to make this thing work. I've literally had friends of mine that are like, dude, I thought you were a conservative. And I'm like, and just because I'm a conservative or I might have voted for somebody doesn't mean I can't call that person a scumbag. They're doing scummy things. They deserve to be called a scumbag publicly, repeatedly. And I just don't subscribe to this idea that because you're on Team Red or Team Blue, somehow that team is immune to scorn. I mean, we got to call balls and strikes. It's the only rational way to be.
I'm going to try and change internet connections. I will be right back. You guys keep going.
All right. Yeah, that's really what you got to have. I mean, if you aren't holding the people you voted for accountable, why would they ever pay attention to what you want?
But now I'm going to recount something that one of you said an hour ago. Mm-hmm. Feelings don't care about facts, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we do when we're calling balls and strikes on our side intellectually and saying this person's doing dumb stuff, but the other side won't return the courtesy?
Well, you wouldn't compromise your values. You're going to continue speaking the truth. Yeah, and I suppose the Trump administration has done some scummy shit here recently. Mm-hmm. So that deserves to be criticized. We got to hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I cannot force my values on other people, but I absolutely can continue to be consistent in mine.
But you understand where I'm coming from, though, right? Mm-hmm. It makes me feel a certain way when I'm like, I am perfectly willing to like sweep the leg on my own politicians when they do stupid stuff. But then the other side is also waiting to kick them while they're down. But then when things run in the opposite direction, I'm like, okay, dude, it's time to sweep the leg, and they won't do it.
Integrity can be a disadvantage.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Integrity can sometimes be a disadvantage, but without integrity, personally, I think you don't have anything.
What would you guys like to see as a result of this event? I know as tragic as it is, it's hard to think about that, but what positive outcome would you guys like to have seen or see? Because there's a lot of different reactions, across the board on the internet. There's people that are dancing on this guy's grave. There's people that believe it's kind of a watershed moment, like a MLK turning point, if you will.
You're asking me what I would like to see. I would like to see us all hold hands and unite and
but you're a Nazi.
And come together in peace and harmony. This
you're
is not a
fascist
realistic outcome.
We can't hold hands with fascists.
Well, fair. I wouldn't hold hands with me either. Chris.
I personally would like to see a much more overwhelming victory for conservative ideologies in college campuses. I mentioned earlier that Turning Point had gotten like 24,000 or something like that applications to create clubs. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see not every, because you're never going to get every college, because there are some, Berkeley, you're never going to see a Turning Point probably at Berkeley. I want to see the majority of colleges where students are being exposed to the honest, good faith debate of ideas. Because that's the only way we solve it without rampant violence. That's the only good solution.
I think the teaching in all schools needs to change from indoctrination to back to education.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the principles that created our educational institution back in the day and what it was based on?
Not offhand, no.
So the model for U.S. education was taken out of Kaiser-era Germany pre-World War I. The whole idea is that the educational system was designed to indoctrinate your student body into being good workers, good soldiers, and in case of the women, good homemakers and good mothers.
I do remember something like that, yes.
So here's the problem with government-sponsored and run education. It has always been and continues to be indoctrination first. That's the problem. From its root, It was built for indoctrination.
I actually made a statement quite a while back in the past that I've made several times since then that, you know, if you have children, you should indoctrinate them before someone else does.
Yep.
And some people get really weird when I say it that way, but like, it's the truth of the matter. Like, since my daughter was young, I've been having conversations with her about, you know, like libertarian principles, about like, hey, a person should be able to do what they want as long as it doesn't harm somebody else. I've been having talks with her about why we have firearms and why we train with firearms and why we do these things, and like talking with her about the founding of her country and about her constitutional rights as an individual, even though she's still a child. Like, I think it's important that if you do not indoctrinate your children, somebody else is going to. Now, I will be the first to admit that she is 13. She's a teenager. She has some ideas that I don't necessarily share. She's a kid, but I raised her to be an individual and to think for herself and make up her own opinions. So I don't want her to be a Phil Jr. I want her to be a person who can think for herself and develop her own opinions.
She's an awful lot of Phil, though. I've met your kid, and it didn't take long to see you there, man.
Yeah,
That's how
that's
you know
probably
the
fair.
indoctrination's working, Nick.
Exactly.
You know, it goes along the lines of that video that's circulating around where that mom is asking her kids, "Hey, I got some good news," and the first thing that he said was Donald Trump was killed.
Yep.
You know, that is 100% indoctrination.
It is.
Yep. And the problem is that that's a mother indoctrinating her children. I can't do anything about that.
Right.
But if my daughter's teacher had tried to tell her something like that, I fully expect she's going to come home and pop the lid to me, and then I'm going to be standing in front of the principal screaming about it the next day.
Right.
I will take a day off of work to take a principal or a teacher to task. That's just a good time as far as I'm concerned. But like to Terrence's point, what I want out of this, I would be absolutely elated if even some small percentage of this country woke up from this and it had a lasting impact on their behavior and their habits and their mindset forever, for life. I would be jumping, doing backflips, and I'm a chubby enough guy that's a thing. But I'd be doing backflips in the front yard if 1% of this country woke up and said, damn, I need to carry a gun and build up a food stock because weird things are happening around me. I'd be doing backflips. Do I think we'll get there? I don't know, man. My crystal ball's in the shop and guesses are 5 for a quarter.
I worry that next week people are going to plop down on the couch and turn the football game on and forget all about it.
I think
very
they're
possible
for the most part.
You know, somebody asked me just today, we were out shopping for clothes for my daughter, and somebody asked today, like, hey, are you going to watch the Saints this afternoon? And when I said no, the look on their face was like, you're not watching the football game? I don't know. Don't get me started on professional sports. We'll start ranting about the fall of Rome and bread and circus in about 5 minutes.
We already did that rant last week, I think.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it is deeply
sir-
concerning that there's groups out there that are becoming more militant. Their aim is to train while and basically attack their fellow countrymen while everyone else sits on the couch and watches TV.
The only thing you can do in response to that is to train yourself and become harder to kill.
Yep. I mean, the other side being militant, that's going to happen. And the only solution is for all of you chubby, pale-faced SOBs out there is to also become militant. Go find a local firearms trainer. Spend some money on some guns and ammo. I promise you could probably get, 20 or 30 grand for your boat and spend it on something that's actually useful at the end of the day. You could build a food plot. You could build a food stock. You could find your local group of tinfoil hat-wearing nut jobs and talk to them about solar and living off-grid. You could do a whole variety of things to make your family harder to harm. But if in a week or two you go back to sitting on the friggin' couch and drinking beer watching the football game, I don't know, man. Best of luck.
I'm not as concerned for myself as much as I am for friends and family. And the whole reason I brought up the Troubles earlier is because, during that time period, it consisted mostly of street fighting, bombings, sniper attacks, and roadblocks. And we've seen all of those things already.
We have.
And, you know, the thing that concerns me is that, you know, like your wife or your kid or somebody goes to the coffee shop and someone sets off, you know, an IED or something, you know, and, you know, I know that the population of Ireland is not comparable to ours. You know,
Sure.
We've got 330 million people, and there would be different degrees and levels of violence. But, you know, if that were really to happen here, but I mean, it's not going to be any less than what Ireland had.
No, I would agree with that.
I think it would be ratio based.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 30,000 people in Ireland that were injured, and that I mean, we're talking about a 30-year span, but
What would that be in American numbers?
I'm looking up the population of Ireland in that time.
yeah, so 1968 to
Probably
1998.
20 million, maybe.
I'm going to go 1980 just because that's right about the middle of the range. So
There you go.
3.4 million people.
Oh,
So
way less than I thought.
yeah, 3,400,032 people.
3 million to 30,000. You're talking
that
about
0.3%.
1%.
Wait, is that North
1%.
Ireland?
No, Ireland in total.
So about 1%. So 3 million people over the course of how many years?
30.
30-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't even know if that'd be enough to move the needle as apathetic as the average American is. And I hate to say it that way, but
that's a lot.
Dude,
that's a lot of graves.
but I came into this conversation warning all of y'all how pessimistic I am about my fellow countrymen.
That's fair.
I mean, at any moment in time, for any reason, am I fully prepared to friggin' rock up and go to war to protect my family? That's baked into me. You don't take 17-year-old Phil and ship him off to the Department of Defense summer camp and it doesn't tweak his little head a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the average American is just not emotionally capable of intentionally committing acts of violence against their fellow man, even in their own self-preservation.
I suppose the argument is it's not the average American that's going to be doing it, though.
They can't think past the next Saints game.
Yeah, thanks for that.
It's true, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, I was watching earlier, you know, that they were showing the crowds that were showing up in Arizona to the funeral, and they've packed that stadium, and there were even more outside. And so I think that that's promising. But, you know, kind of to Drew's point when he brought up Yuri Bezmenov, you know, just in the same way that Marxists have played the long game, so can everyone else. Mm-hmm. You know, and it is possible to change things. I think it's not what everyone wants to hear. Everyone wants to hear grab a rifle and put on a plate carrier, but I don't think everyone can do that, one. And two, is that really the way?
Yeah. I mean, even if it is a potential solution, and I'm not convinced it is, it's not the only solution. And I can promise you that, you know, like I said earlier, if you have that one left-wing wingnut family member, are you prepared to friggin', you know, put that person down? And if the answer is no, then there has to be another solution. And maybe that is we fight for the people in the middle. Like there's a big chunk of the country on one side and a big chunk on the other, and there's a whole lot in the middle of the bell curve. Maybe that's how we win, is by we fight for the people that are in the middle. We fight for the normies. We show them that our collective way works and the other way doesn't. We sway more of them to our side. Like the left,
at the very least, our way is safer. Yeah.
Well, the left has done a phenomenal job of moving the Overton window further and further and further their direction, but maybe that's the downside of their political social machinations, is that because they've moved the center of the Overton window so far their direction, it's pushed so many people in our direction that we do have a large quiet majority. And if we can turn them into a large vocal majority, maybe we win without firing a shot.
Well, Yard Sale said that 300,000 plus were watching on YouTube, or at least the channel that he was listening to. So I'm sure, you know, that doesn't encompass all of social media and the news networks that were covering it. But I think that is a good sign.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mean to be like doom and gloom and say that this is all bad and all sucks. I just my worry is that, to Jared's point, is that this is going to be a fleeting moment in time, and when it passes, people will go right back to head down, grazing in the field.
I think it'll be talked about for a long time coming, but I think it's a fleeting moment.
They haven't even gone to the Costco and bought up all the toilet paper yet. I don't even think people are doing anything now.
Well, what were the results of MLK's assassination, or Robert Kennedy, for that matter, or Malcolm X? I mean, we can go on down the line if we want, but those were...
I'm not old enough to know. Jared? I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to defer to Phil because we were making fun of how old he is.
Jared's got some
Phil's
years
my
on me.
age.
See, I think I am by far the youngest person here.
Judging by your lack of facial hair, I'll agree with that.
That is a baby face. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
You'll hit your puberty in a few years. Don't worry.
I know, right? I'm only 36. I'm going to be 36 here.
I got a couple years to go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, what type of study can we do of the various assassinations of the past? Back to Lincoln.
That'd be I'd have to really look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I think life
could we talk to
fairly quickly.
I found that even valuable during the pandemic, trying to talk to really, really, really old people, and who had family members who went through the
Spanish flu.
Spanish flu. Thank you so much. And yeah, what did they do? How did people behave? How did they react? How long did it take to get over all of this? And there was I found a couple people. It didn't yield much, but trying to find that generational knowledge, I think that's wise to go after that. I'm gonna start asking around.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think I'll do that too. I like that.
Well, and break.
Sadly, my phone's hotspot is better than Spectrum.
Oh man,
let's wrap it up here.
We best let you go before all the internet gremlins get to your
I
phone
haven't had
too.
any issues since I switched over, and I'm like, really, Spectrum? So, but we are coming up on a couple hours, so
yeah, we can call it.
All right. Well,
call it.
Phil and Nick, thank you for joining us. I always do value your opinions and your insight. And for everyone watching, if you haven't caught their podcast episode yesterday, please go do so, because they talked about a lot of what we talked about here tonight, and there's a lot of good information and insight there. And I know I'm not supposed to talk about other people's podcasts, but I do it anyway because I value you guys, and same with Drew and Jared. But with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. And Jared and Drew, do you guys have anything that you'd like to close out with? And then we'll kick it over to Phil and Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaving here and running straight to the Costco and getting all the bottled water and butt wipe before any of you White Devils can make it there and beat me to it.
Resist.
I just really hope that cooler heads prevail here in the coming days, and I hope also that no one of any political persuasion just accepts what they see and what they're told at face value. Always be critically analyzing the things you're told, because I think that's how we get out of this. We don't succumb to tribalism. We always continue to be questioning the things that are being handed to us. And good luck, everybody. Next.
Yep. Don't really have too much. I was a little late coming in. I had a field a phone call before I got on, but yeah, just be a hard target. Be hard to kill. Don't remain open-minded. And don't always succumb to the ideologies of the most popular opinion, even if it's your own party, because it's not always necessarily the right way.
I mean, the only thing I'll tell everybody is buckle up, because what has happened just in the last couple of weeks is not the end of it. And if you live more than 6 months, it will not be the last you see. The violent crime rate in this country has been escalating in the past year or two. It is not a matter of you're definitely going to have a violent encounter with somebody today, tomorrow, next month, next year, whatever. But the problem is that every morning you wake up and open your eyes, you roll the dice. And if you're wired like I am, you would like the day you roll snake eyes for you to have like a 9mm on your hip and a tourniquet in your back pocket. So just take this as your moment in time to analyze yourself and think to yourself, if someone was trying to hurt me or my family, what would I do about it? And if the answer is call 911 or nothing, you should probably analyze it a little further.
Yeah. Really appreciate you guys having us on. Great conversation, just like last time we were on here, man. It was a lot of fun. But Jared, Drew, you guys are right. You got to make yourself a hard target, and you have to think critically about the things that you are consuming. You know, whether that be media, political speeches, podcasts like this. Hey, if I'm wrong about something, please call me out on it. I'll try to do better next time. We all got to try and do that.
Well, I think the last thing that I'll just kind of add to that is, you know, for all of you watching, please don't get caught up in some of the verbiage you see in the various online ghettos. And that includes X and all the other ones, because there's a lot of people out there who are angry, who are trying to get other people to do something. And don't forget to be a good human. And none of you guys really know this because I don't really talk about it, but I pray for all of you. I pray for everyone on this panel, everyone that we have on as guests, as well as everyone that watches. And I'm going to continue to do so, because I know it probably doesn't mean much to other people, but it means something to me, because I think that the line between, you know, the battle between good and evil isn't necessarily right and left. It runs through each one of us individually. But with that, thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one.